He forged our parents' will. He stole everything. But I wasn't going to let him win. Lies, betrayal, digital forensics, and a final twist that changed everything. I wasn't supposed to see the envelope. It was thick, heavy, sealed with wax, and tucked at the bottom of my mother's nightstand, under the drawer liner she thought no one would ever lift. But I did. And when I opened it, my world ended. Every dollar, every asset, every inch of the family home. It was all signed away to my brother. Not split, not shared. Given. To him. The golden child. The can't-do-wrong Ivy League prodigy who hadn't called them in 2 years. Who forgot their birthdays. Who once said out loud, "Family loyalty is for the weak." And still, he got everything. My name? Not even mentioned. But here's the thing. I never lose without fighting back. So I made a plan. One they never saw coming. And it started with a funeral. Red Triangle pointed down, "Stay with me, because by the end of this, someone else will be begging for forgiveness." My father died in spring. A clean, quiet death after a long, bitter decline. Pancreatic cancer. The kind that gives you a deadline and watches you race the clock. We were all there. My mom, clenching tissues. My brother, Nathan, 2 seats down, scrolling through his phone. Me, just breathing, trying not to scream. The funeral was formal. Forgettable. Nathan delivered the eulogy like he was accepting an award. I didn't speak. Not because I wasn't asked, because I wasn't given the chance. 3 days later, the lawyer invited us to his office for the reading of the will. I knew something was wrong the moment I saw the smirk Nathan tried to hide. The lawyer cleared his throat. Per the request of William and Deborah Whitmore, the estate, house, land, investments, accounts will be passed in entirety to their son, Nathan Whitmore. As stated, we trust Nathan to manage our legacy with the discipline and vision we've raised him to embody. I waited for the second paragraph. My name. Anything. It didn't come. There was no mention of me. Not even a condolence. Just silence. Afterwards, my mother avoided eye contact. Nathan avoided me entirely. I caught her by the car. "Mom, was this a mistake?" Her face twitched. "No, Paige. Your father and I made that decision together." "But why?" Her voice was like ice in July. "Nathan has always been more capable. You're doing just fine on your own." Just fine? I was drowning in student loans, working 2 jobs, living paycheck to paycheck in a 1-bedroom apartment that smelled like mildew and burnt toast. Meanwhile, Nathan had a Tesla, a penthouse, and a startup bankrolled by our parents. "That's it?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just got in the car and left me standing in the parking lot. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat on my living room floor, surrounded by photos. Birthdays, Christmases, me holding their hands, me graduating, me carrying groceries to their front door every Sunday. I'd been there. I was always there. And now I was erased. But I wasn't about to let them write me out of their lives without writing myself back in. Not through begging. Not through guilt. Through truth. Because something didn't sit right. My father was meticulous. Fair. Accountable. If he'd signed a will that excluded me, he would have told me. Prepared me. Explained it. Unless he didn't know. Unless he never saw the final version. Unless someone else forged it. I drove to my dad's old office the next morning. He was retired for over a year, but I knew his assistant, Rachel, still handled his archives. I said I needed copies of some family documents. She hesitated, then relented. Inside the dusty file room, I found a cabinet labeled Personal, W. Whitmore. It was locked. So I waited. Until Rachel went to lunch. And then I picked it. Don't ask me how I know how. I've had roommates. Inside, I found folders of every will draft my father ever prepared. 5 versions. All of them split evenly between me and Nathan. Until the last one. Version 6. The handwriting on the signature line? Not his. It was close, but not quite. My dad signed every document with a slight hook in his W. This one? Straight. No flair. My gut turned cold. Someone forged his signature. And I had a pretty good idea who. Nathan always underestimated me. Thought I was soft. Passive. Weak. He didn't know I'd been working in document verification for an insurance company for 6 years. Didn't know I could spot a fake signature in seconds. Didn't know I had proof. I copied the forged will. Took photos of the old ones. And then I did something risky. I called him. "Hey, Nathan," I said brightly. "Just wanted to say congrats on everything." He paused. "Thanks. But it's weird, right?" Dad leaving everything to you. I was at the lawyer's office today. Funny thing, his signature on the new will looks different from his old ones. I mean, I'd know. You remember where I work, right? Silence. You still there? He exhaled. Fast. Sharp. Don't start this, Paige. Oh, I'm not starting anything. But someone did. And I'm gonna find out who. That night, I got a message on Facebook. From a name I didn't recognize. We need to talk. I know what your brother did. It was from Claire. She was Nathan's ex. I'd forgotten they even dated. She said Nathan paid someone to forge the will. Said she had screenshots, emails, messages he accidentally sent to her instead of the lawyer. Said she held on to them after he ghosted her post-breakup. And she wanted revenge. She wasn't lying. 2 hours later, I had everything. Email chains, payment logs, a voice memo where Nathan told the forger, I need this to look just like my dad's signature. Make it clean, and it'll be worth your while. I had him, dead to rights. But I didn't go to the lawyer. Not yet. Because revenge isn't just about justice. It's about timing. My mom was hosting a memorial fundraiser in Dad's honor. Big venue. Fancy donors. Nathan was the guest of honor. He was about to give a speech titled The Legacy of William Whitmore. And I had a projector, a microphone, and a plan. Red triangle pointed down, but if you think I stopped at exposing the truth, oh, you don't know me at all. I didn't sleep the night after I found out about the will. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my brother Michael's smug face. I heard his voice echoing in my head. It's what Mom and Dad thought was best. Best for who, exactly? I paced my apartment, chewing the inside of my cheek until it bled. There were no words left. Only heat. Only betrayal. Only questions. Why him? Why not me? The answer came, not in some grand revelation, but in a voicemail. At 6:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was from Aunt Loretta. Sweetheart, I need to talk to you. I don't think your parents told you everything. There's something you need to know, something about your grandfather's lockbox. Call me back. I drove to Loretta's house like the road was on fire. She opened the door with tears in her eyes. Her living room smelled like lemon polish and old books, a time capsule of my childhood. She poured tea, but neither of us drank it. Your grandfather left something behind, she began. A lockbox, not part of the estate, not in the will. He told me to give it to you when the time was right. I stared at her, confused. Why me? She looked at me like I had asked the dumbest question in the world. Because he trusted you. Because he saw who your brother really was. She led me into the attic. The box was old, military grade, and rusted around the edges. Inside, wrapped in a faded cloth, was a bundle of letters, a notebook, and a thumb drive. These, she said, might change everything. The notebook was filled with Granddad's tight cursive. Business notes, thoughts, suspicions, pages and pages of financial records, property deeds, and then a list. A list of assets. Some were familiar. The lake house, the Colorado property, a small trust fund. But one stood out. Eagle Crest Mineral Holdings. 49%. I blinked. That wasn't in the will. That wasn't in any family discussion I'd ever heard. And 49%? That wasn't pocket change. I dug deeper. The letters were between my grandfather and his lawyer. They detailed a plan to split the mineral rights between his two grandsons equally upon his passing. One letter, dated just 6 months before his death, had a postscript. If either of them is written out of the will, this agreement stands. Equity over legacy. My heart thudded. Granddad knew. He knew. The thumb drive had a folder labeled for Jason only. I clicked it open, hands trembling. Documents. Emails. A voice memo. The voice was old, grainy. It was Granddad. Jason, if you're hearing this, then something didn't go as I planned. Trust your gut. Your brother has always had charm. But charm is not character. I've protected you the only way I know how, with facts. This drive contains every proof you need to claim what is rightfully yours. Use it wisely. And remember, silence is a weapon they count on. I sat there, stunned. Granddad had left me a trail. I didn't call Michael. I didn't storm the house. I went silent. I went strategic. I found an attorney, Melissa Givens, one of the best estate litigators in the state. She read through everything in 36 hours. She didn't even blink. Your brother's in for a shock, she said, sliding the documents back across the table. Can I win this? She smiled. You won the second your grandfather decided he trusted you more than the rest of them. But I didn't want just to win. I wanted to bury Michael's narrative. I wanted them to feel what I felt when I saw my name missing from that will. Melissa helped me file a quiet legal claim against the mineral holdings, not the estate. That way, Michael wouldn't know. Then I sent an email. To my parents. Hope you're well. I've come across some documentation that suggests Granddad intended an equitable split between his grandsons. I will be asserting my claim legally. No need to panic. Just a heads up. No threats. No accusations. Just cold, calculated heat. They didn't respond. Not at first. But a week later, Michael called me. What the hell is Eagle Crest? Bingo. You tell me, I said coolly. You're the one who got everything, right? He was silent. Jason, if you do this, you're tearing the family apart. No, Michael. You tore it apart the second you cashed the check. I'm just collecting what's mine. He cursed. He threatened. I hung up. A week later, my attorney called. He's trying to contest the claim, which is hilarious, considering he has no standing. But he's getting desperate. Good. Because I was just getting started. I walked into the attorney's office like I was walking into a battlefield, calm on the outside, but inside, my blood was on fire. The receptionist gave me a tight smile and buzzed me in. Mr. Grayson will see you now, she said. Mr. Grayson was my parents' estate attorney. He had gray hair, sharp eyes, and the kind of voice that made you feel like you were about to be sued. He didn't stand when I walked in, just gestured to the chair across from him. What can I do for you, Ms. Morgan? I'd like to see the will, I said flatly. He blinked, adjusting his glasses. It's been executed already. The contents were clear. Then humor me, I replied, pulling out a folder from my bag. I placed a single document on his desk. His eyes narrowed. He picked it up, skimmed it, then looked up with a mixture of confusion and concern. Where did you get this? That, I said, is an early draft of the will. One where my name was very much included. Before my brother suddenly became the sole heir. He leaned back. This is troubling, but not illegal. Your parents are allowed to change their will. Not if they were manipulated, I said, letting the word hang in the air like a guillotine. Grayson frowned. Are you suggesting? I'm saying that someone, likely Michael, coerced them into revising it. And I'm going to prove it. He exhaled. You'll need more than a draft to make that case. I know. That's why I'm here. I handed him a second folder. This one contained printouts of text messages, all pulled from a data recovery program I'd run on Dad's old tablet. Most were mundane, but a few were damning. Michael, weeks before the will was changed. We just need them to sign before she comes back from the trip. Another, I'll handle Mom. She's easier when she's scared. And the worst one, if she finds out, just gaslight. Like always. I left the office with a heavy folder and a light conscience. For the first time in months, I had leverage. Later that night, I called Aunt Valerie. She was my dad's sister, and someone who had always treated me like her own. When she picked up, I didn't waste time. I need your help. I'm going to take Michael down, but I can't do it alone. Silence. Then, tell me where to meet you. We met at a diner just outside town. Over lukewarm coffee, I told her everything. Her face tightened with each detail. I always knew that boy was too smooth, she muttered. He was never half the man your father wanted him to be. You were the backbone. She slid her phone across the table. You'll want this. Inside were voice messages from Mom. Old ones. One sent in a moment of guilt, drunken confessions about regrets, about how she let Michael take over, how she wished she had more courage. Use them, Valerie said. Make them listen. I knew what I had to do next. Orchestrate a confrontation in front of witnesses. People who mattered. People who wouldn't let it be swept under the rug. So I planned a celebration dinner at the old family home. Just the siblings, the parents, and a few close family members. Michael was smug when he arrived. Didn't think you'd have the nerve to call us all together, he said as he hugged our mother. You finally growing up? I smiled. Something like that. Dinner was tight. The tension could have sliced the roast. I waited until dessert. I stood. There's something I need to say. Michael groaned. Here we go. I ignored him. I pulled out my laptop, connected it to the TV, played the voice messages first, then the texts, then the will draft. Each piece landed like a hammer. My mother went pale. My father looked like he was about to faint. Michael? He didn't say a word. Not at first. Just stood slowly and muttered, You planned this. I nodded. Every second. The dinner ended in chaos. Michael stormed out. Mom chased after him. Dad stayed silent. Aunt Valerie put her arm around me. It's done. Now let it settle. But I knew it wasn't done. Not yet. Because Michael wasn't just going to let go. And neither was I. Later that week, Dad invited me back to the house. Alone. He didn't say much. Just led me to his study. He opened the floor safe. Inside was a single envelope. My name on it. I opened it. Inside, a new will. Signed. Dated. 2 weeks old. 50/50th split. No ceremony. No apology. Just the correction of a betrayal. I left the house with the will in my hands. But I didn't feel relief. Because somewhere out there, Michael was planning his next move. And this time, I'd be ready. I met up with an old friend from college, Brandon. He'd once hacked into the university's faculty email system just to change a parking fine. Now, he made a living exposing cybersecurity flaws for major corporations. A white hat hacker, as he called it. But I needed him to play in the gray. I showed him the texts, the will drafts, and my theory about Michael's manipulation. Brandon leaned back, whistled, and said, "This is deep. If he forged anything digital or left a trace, I'll find it." I passed him a backup drive that had copies of everything from Dad's computer before it died. He took it without hesitation. Meanwhile, Michael was rebuilding his image, posting family throwbacks, visiting our parents with flowers, posing with Dad in pictures, calling him my hero. And the kicker? He announced a charity in Dad's name, the Harold Morgan Foundation. It was a PR move, a brand. But it also meant one thing. He was trying to cement his role as the heir in the public eye, not just legally. 3 days later, Brandon called me, breathless. "Meet me. You're going to want to see this in person." He'd recovered deleted files, including one document, REV_final will_exported. The metadata showed something wild. It was edited on Michael's laptop. Worse, the signature page had been swapped from the original file. Your dad may have signed something, but what he signed and what got filed are two different things, Brandon said. That was it. The smoking gun. Grayson was cautious, but he nodded after reviewing Brandon's findings. This is enough to challenge the original will. If the court accepts it, we can push for fraud investigation. The case would take time. But we weren't just playing for the will anymore. We were exposing a lie. And Valerie had one more card up her sleeve. She sent an anonymous tip to the local newspaper, disputed Morgan Inheritance Sparks' legal firestorm. The story exploded. Suddenly, Michael wasn't just a smiling son. He was a headline. He called me that night. "You just couldn't let it go, could you?" He growled. "You forged a will, Michael. You think this changes anything? Dad's still going to defend me. He always has. Not this time." Mom called me the next morning. Her voice cracked. "I didn't know, sweetheart. I truly didn't. I thought Michael was trying to help." She paused. "What do you want me to do?" "Tell the truth." "In court." Silence. Then, "Okay." Dad, surprisingly, followed. Maybe the shame, the headlines, or the memories from the safe triggered something. He issued a short public statement. "There may have been errors in judgment. I support a fair investigation." Michael, now officially on the defensive. The court date was set. 1 week. Brandon would testify. Valerie would be present. Mom had filed an affidavit. Grayson was preparing our argument. And me? I wasn't just the forgotten daughter anymore. I was the one standing between truth and a legacy rewritten. And I could feel it. Something was coming. Because people like Michael never lose quietly. They burn everything on the way down. And the match was already in his hand. The morning of the hearing, I stood outside the courthouse gripping a travel mug like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. Brandon arrived first, tie crooked, confidence solid. "You good?" he asked. I nodded. "I'm ready." Valerie joined us next, followed by Grayson. Mom and Dad came in their own car. I watched my father closely. He didn't look at me. But he didn't look at Michael either. Neutral. Tired. Michael arrived last. Slick. Smiling. Like he hadn't forged a will and turned our family into a battlefield. The courtroom buzzed with quiet tension. The judge was sharp, all business. The kind who wouldn't tolerate theatrics. Michael's lawyer looked like he charged $900 an hour and smiled like he knew he was going to win. But I had facts. And receipts. Grayson opened strong, laying out the timeline. The early will. The suspicious timing. The texts. The manipulation. Then came Brandon. Brandon explained metadata like it was poetry. He walked the court through the file creation, edits, deleted versions. Showed how the signature page was swapped. Michael's lawyer objected. Speculation. But the judge allowed it. Continue. The room leaned in as Brandon showed the original file and the forged one side by side. "This isn't just forgery," Brandon said. "It's fraud." Mom testified next. "I was confused," she said. "Michael told me things about my daughter that weren't true. He said she was unstable, that she didn't care about us. I see now. I see what I let happen." Her voice cracked. "I let fear control me. Then Dad." His voice was flat. "I trusted my son. I didn't verify. I was wrong." Michael, in contrast, chose not to testify. His lawyer claimed strategic silence. The hearing lasted 5 hours. When the judge finally returned from recess, we all stood. In reviewing the evidence, the court finds substantial reason to believe that the submitted will was altered under fraudulent conditions. A formal investigation will proceed. He paused. "Until such time, the distribution of assets will revert to the prior will as filed." My knees almost gave out. Grayson placed a steadying hand on my shoulder. Outside, Michael finally cracked. "You think this is over?" he snarled. "You think you've won?" "No," I said. "I think it's just starting." He pointed at our father. "You're just letting her erase me?" Dad didn't respond. Michael turned and stormed off. Cameras followed. 2 weeks later, I received an official letter from the court. The estate would be split equally pending final ruling. The investigation into Michael's fraud had begun. Valerie called that night. "You did it." "No," I said, looking at the folder in my hands. "I survived it. But I wasn't done yet. I gave one interview. Not to a big outlet. Just a local podcaster who focused on family law cases. I told the story, start to finish. I didn't name names. But the message was clear. Inheritance isn't just about money. It's about trust. And when that's broken, no one can fix it. A month later, I received a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a flash drive. It contained video footage. Home surveillance from my parents' house. The night before the will was changed. Michael, with Dad, coaching him. "Just sign the new version, old man. You won't regret it." Dad's face blurred, uncertain. And then Michael slipped something into his tea. I took the drive to Grayson immediately. He watched it, then looked at me. "This isn't just fraud. It's criminal. Do we go to the police?" I asked. He nodded. "Absolutely. Michael doesn't know I have it yet. But he will. Very soon. And this time, he's not getting away." I filed the evidence, gave my full statement. Officers took it seriously, especially with the video. An investigation was opened within 48 hours. Michael was subpoenaed. The media ran the footage within days. Michael's charity? Frozen. His employer? Suspended him. Our extended family? Cutting ties. Back in court, this time for the criminal charges. Michael pled not guilty. But the video, the texts, the altered documents, it was overwhelming. Guilty. Sentence pending, but the judge was clear. This was a betrayal not only of family but of law. Mom and Dad sat with me afterward. For the first time in years, they looked like parents. "We're sorry," Dad said. "For all of it." I didn't respond right away. Just nodded. Weeks later, I received a letter in the mail. From Michael. One sentence. "I hope it was worth it." I burned it without reading the rest. Was it worth it? Yes. Because I wasn't just fighting for money. I was fighting to reclaim the truth. And now, it was finally mine.